Thank you, Louise. Hello, everyone, and welcome to OTF Connect. Thank you for giving of your own time to join us tonight. It's wonderful to have so many of you here from across the province. Good to see new faces in the room. Well, can't really see you, but happy to have you join us. It's my pleasure to welcome Lee Castle, who will be facilitating tonight's session on Digital Human Library. Lee is very passionate about this project and will have many great ideas to share with you tonight. So welcome, Lee. I will pass the mic over to you so we can get started promptly.
Great, thank you very much. Welcome everybody, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us tonight. I am going to go ahead and get started here. And I want to welcome you, and again, thank you for joining us tonight. So as mentioned, my name is Lee Castle, and I just want to check in with you to make sure that you're seeing my slide as I click. Can everyone see the slide of my family, and did that go right away? I just want to make sure I'm getting a thumbs up, okay? Because I have a big lag here, so I'm going to go ahead and keep chatting, and if I'm talking and what I'm saying doesn't quite jive with the slide you're seeing, please stop me and let me know. So since I don't have a chance to see you this evening, this is me here and my husband and my two lovely children who keep me very, very busy, as I'm sure there are lots of parents in attendance this evening. And I am an elementary teacher at Stevens Central Public School. This year I'm working half-time teaching grade 1-2, and I'm also now working half-time as a technology coach supporting, oh, thank you about my beautiful family. I'm working half-time as a technology coach supporting blogging as pedagogy in my board. So that's something else that will come into play a little bit during our conversation this evening, because a lot of the work that I'm going to share with you is shared on our class blog and on student blogs. So when I was working at Stevens Central in 2011, I work in a very rural school board, and our school is out in the middle of nowhere in the country. And I was really frustrated by the fact that my students didn't have the opportunity to go on field trips and experience the world the same way that students who attend a city school may do that. So I thought, well, how am I going to start connecting my kids with the world? And part of the grade 2 curriculum is teaching about communities around the world. So I thought instead of teaching about the northern and southern communities that I chatted about in previous years, I actually wanted to try to connect my kids to kids in different countries. So my first thought, and what sort of stopped me in my tracks there, was, well, what technology do I need? And hopefully this slide has popped for you right away. I don't know if any of you here feel like me or felt like me at that time, but this was me. I was definitely the problem between my keyboard and the chair. That I was the problem, and technology was not something that I had really explored a lot, with the exception of using a smartboard. So this was all very new to me. And I was quite pleasantly surprised to find out that with my classroom computer and a webcam and a solid internet connection, I was actually going to be able to start connecting with kids in different countries. So that's exactly what we did. We set out to work with kids first in Africa, actually. And that connection for us was very, very exciting. So as you can see here, it was something that was shared on our blog. We had a chance to talk to the kids and ask them questions and learn from them what it was like to live in Africa. And this particular moment for me really changed my perspective on what education was all about. And I'm going to ask Louise now if she can share just a quick video of one of our sessions with our students in Africa. And during this session, the kids sang us a song. And even without knowing the questions that led up to this moment or any background information about the kind of discussion and conversation we were having, I want you just to sort of have a look at the video and see what you can learn about the kids in Africa just by watching a short clip of this video. I'm not sure if your web tour has loaded. Mine is still loading. So if yours has loaded, you can go ahead and start. If you want to start this song at about the 1 minute mark and just maybe watch 30 seconds to 45 seconds, and then Louise can give you instructions there.
Okay. I am just going to hit enter for the link in the chat as well as the link for the web tour. It is a YouTube video, so it's going to start playing right away, and you can manually move it to the 1 minute mark, as Lee said, and watch for about half a minute, and then come on back and give us a green check mark when you're done.
Okay, I'm starting to see lots of lots of green check marks coming in. And if you're just finishing up, so I would ask you, and my students had a chance to, you know, we had a few sessions with our friends in Africa here, and they got to ask all of those burning questions, right? Like, what is it like to live in Africa, and what's your school like, and what do you learn, and what subjects do you study, and what kind of clothes do you wear, and what kind of food do you eat? But it wasn't until we actually went back and looked at the video that my students noticed so many other things about what it's like to actually go to school in Africa. And just in the chat box there, what do you notice about their classroom? What do you see in their classroom? If you want to just type your ideas in the chat box. Yeah, no desks. Bare walls. Yep. No anchor charts. Yeah, imagine. Yeah, no lights. Yeah, and the room is actually just a concrete room, 4x4 dirt floor. But these kids were more engaged, and I saw some comments there about just their level of enthusiasm and excitement, and really their whole way of being and learning was so different than what our kids know. And you know, one of the first questions was, well, where are their desks? And they don't have any markers or pencils. And so having a chance to actually see these kids and learn from these kids really, again, as I said earlier, changed my whole perception about teaching and learning and what that should look like. So following that, we decided that we needed to explore our world further, and that's exactly what we did. So in 3 to 4 months, my students had a chance to video conference and work with kids in over 12 different countries. Sorry, I just saw the, yes, and I will talk about the webcam. I will come back to that and privacy around that at the end. So we had a chance to work with students in over 12 different countries, and that experience alone really got me thinking, well, if we can work with kids in countries around the world, we can really bring anybody into the classroom virtually in a way that's going to be engaging for kids. We're going to be able to use technology, and kids are motivated. They're really motivated to learn. So before I continue on and share more about how the Digital Human Library came to be, I want to take a minute and ask you now, and I'll have Louise give you some instructions about the tools I'd like you to use. But what I'd like you to do is think about your area of expertise outside of the world of teaching. So I would like you to think about something that you're good at, a skill that you have or an area of expertise that you would like to highlight that's apart from teaching, that might be something you would feel maybe it could be a different path for you if you decided maybe gardening is your thing, or for me, I make jewelry. That's one of my hobbies, but also a passion of mine. So I'm going to stop talking now, and Louise can give you instructions about how I'm going to ask you to add your ideas to our expert board.
Okay, folks, so you're going to want to use your text tool, which is the fourth tool from the top in that little tool strip on the left-hand side of the whiteboard space there. And you may find it easier to click on that little triangle and just select the second text tool, which is a plain capital A. And then when you click wherever you are on the screen, you'll be able to begin typing, but I want to point out to you that your type may be small. So when you click that text tool, you're going to see a second toolbar pops up towards the bottom of your whiteboard, a little horizontal strip where you can see and change the font size and make it bold. So we've figured out that size 18 and bold will make your text quite readable. And if you feel like changing the color, you can click on the black square and change the color as well. And if you have any trouble with that, just let us know in the chat.
Okay, I'm seeing lots of ideas coming up. Great, so craft, music, gaming, technology, fitness, quilting and sewing, painting, baking, using gadgets. Good, we've got a few more ideas coming up here. Oh, stamp collecting. I love collecting. World of the culinary arts and plants. That's great. That's great. So what I want to highlight here is that in the space that we're in together now, we are working as educators, and that's our primary focus, but we also have expertise in a variety of areas. And in this particular group alone, just by looking at the board here, there are a variety of experts in the room in different subject areas. And that's exactly where my mind started to take me after we were working with kids in different countries, that so many people, everybody has a talent or a skill or an area of expertise that they could share with kids. And initially I started looking at how my community could support the kind of programming that we were offering kids in our rural schools in my school board. And that's really how the Digital Human Library came to be. So I started working with people in my community to get them involved and say, you know, you're a farmer in the community and we would love to learn about plants and agriculture and eggs, or you know, you work at the local bookshop and we would love to know what it's like to own a business and work with, you know, large collections of books. So from there I started to explore just really all of the possibilities. And the Digital Human Library is now the free resource that you've seen today, and the focus is connecting organizations and experts around the world, just like you, with teachers and students in their classrooms using video conferencing technology. So that's exactly what I do, and I consider myself a collector of sorts, and I seek out experts like you who are interested in getting involved in education but maybe didn't know how or needed that invitation or a space where you could contribute in a variety of different ways based on your skills and expertise. So the Digital Human Library is about really about relationships and learning, and that's my focus, engaging students and building relationships in order to motivate kids to learn. And my beliefs and what I want I'm hoping to convince you that this is something that I think we all need to have a look at, is that geography shouldn't be a barrier to great conversations and meaningful experiences for all students. And I believe that we can use simple and easily available technologies to create global connections for today's learners, and these are all things that, that you can do. I also believe, and again I'm just waiting for my slides here, all students should have the opportunity to experience the world of learning that exists beyond the walls of our classrooms. And when students build relationships with global learning partners, they are engaged and motivated to achieve success. So I do envision a more equitable educational experience for all students. And my focus is on next generation learning, and that means we are incorporating and building technology into our classroom programs to motivate and inspire our students to learn. So the Digital Human Library really does bring the field trip experience into the classroom. Now I'm not sure if you can see my next slide there for the Royal Botanical Gardens. I want to turn things over to Louise in a second here, and I'm going to ask her to share a video. And this is just going to give you a quick little glimpse into the world of video conferencing and what that looks like from a content provider's point of view. And that's what the experts and organizations are considered as content providers. That's the sort of the generic name that's used for content providers. And in my resource, those content providers or experts are called me-books. And those me-books are available for loan. So I'm going to go ahead and ask Louise to start the web tour here, and you'll have a chance to watch a quick video that really highlights a program from the Royal Botanical Gardens.
Here you go. I've put the link in the chat already, and here comes the YouTube video. And give us a green check mark when you're done.
And see each other in real time. Your students are able to they help you get your students outside and get excited about the fact that they are big.
All right, it looks like most people are finishing up. So that was just Oh, we got a few more. I'll just hold on one sec. Should I go ahead, Louise? Or oh, it looks like we're almost got just a few more. All right. So I'm going to go ahead. So that was just a sort of a sneak peek into what video conferencing looks like from a content provider's point of view. And the Royal Botanical Gardens is one of my MeBook experts. And that is, she is a resource that you can borrow from the Digital Human Library. And I love this slide, and I love the whole idea here that if you can crack the problem of engagement, not just are you paying attention, but are you fascinated by this? If you can crack engagement and deep learning, then you've cracked 21st century schooling. And I think that, I believe that to be true more and more, more and more every day. I see the question here in the chat, is there a cost for teachers? The Digital Human Library is absolutely free for you to use. It does not cost you anything. And I would say about 90 to 95% of the MeBook experts that are available for you to borrow do not charge for their programs. There is a small percentage of providers that do charge for their programs, but you, with that, would also get a whole collection of resources pre and post, as well as follow-up conversations and information with regards to a session. And every provider or MeBook expert offers something a little different. No two sessions are the same, and no two providers offer sessions in the same way. I hope that answered your question there. So I do want to take some time now and just chat with you about the website and all of the different resources that are available to you, again, at no cost. And once I'm finished, you'll have a chance to explore some of that on your own. So this is what the website looks like here. I do feature all MeBook experts down the left-hand side. Yes, there is a charge for the Royal Botanical Gardens, and no, there is absolutely no cost for teachers, regardless of your status. If you're full-time or an occasional teacher, it's absolutely free. So we're going to have a chance to have a look at the website. I always feature a MeBook every month, just to highlight maybe something that coincides with the time of year. March was Music Education Month, so you can see there that that was a feature. And Diane, I'm actually going to get into how to borrow from the library right now. So the first thing you have to do is you do have to register with the site. And I believe that, actually, if you could show me just in the box there, if you could put a green check mark beside your name if you have already registered with the library. And then I can just see how many of you have had a chance to do that already. So red X, I guess, if you haven't, I think, and then a green check mark if you have. All right, so I can see most of you have not. So the first thing, oh, I think my numbers just took a long time to load. Is that just one, Louise, beside the green check mark? I don't have a number there.
Yes, I'm seeing just Meenakshi, and everybody else will get a chance to register shortly.
Okay, perfect. So before you're actually allowed into the library, you do have to register first. And once you've registered, I see who's coming in. And the reason I ask you to register is because, as I mentioned earlier, I do have people that work in my school community that have agreed to share their personal contact information for teachers only. So I want to ensure that the only people coming in and out of the library with access to that database are teachers. And if you do have any problems with your password, you can reset your password from the login page yourself. I do not have access to your passwords. I do have access to all of your other information. So once you've registered with the site and your registration has been approved, I'm just hoping that you can see my next slide there. Once you've logged into the site, you will have a username and password. All you need to do is log in and choose the option to search the MeBooks. Once you do that, you will arrive at a page that looks something like this, and you'll see just the search bar there, and you can type in your search term. Most people search sort of all of the categories. You can search specifically by curriculum focus, area of expertise, or the actual expert. There are lots of fields you can choose from. If you search all fields, you'll have a better chance of finding what you're looking for. So I just did a quick search for zoos, and you can see that there are 7 zoos that are registered with the library, and then you'll actually see below that just sort of a snapshot of what their profile would look like. It's important to then open the full profile in order to see important information like their area of expertise, their contact information, as well as whether there's a program cost and how to register. So all that information is there, and the links are live. So if you do register by email or through their website, the link that's provided there will take you to the space that you need to go to in order to connect with the expert you'd like to work with. So what I would like you to do right now, and I'm going to turn this again over to Louise, is I'm going to give you a chance, if you haven't already, to register with the site. I will see your registration come through, and I will approve your registrations as that happens. And once you've had a chance to register and your registration has been approved, you will be able to log into the site. I'm not sure that we can do this in the 2 minutes that I put out for that, so let's see, maybe we'll check in after 2 minutes and we'll see where you're at, and if you'd like more time, I'd like you to at least have a chance to log in and take a look at the site, but we may have to add a little more time if need be. So Louise, if you want to open up the link to the website, and they can go ahead and register.
So for this one here, folks, I think it's best if I don't open it as a web tour. I'm only going to put the link in the chat for you to click on, so that's going to open in your own browser, and it'll stay open then on your computer, as opposed to if you were using our own Blackboard Collaborate browser. We wouldn't want to interrupt you from your searches. So go ahead and click on the link in the chat and go to the register link and set up your account, as Lee said, and she'll approve you as you're going in, and we'll just take whatever time you need to get through this part, because I think this is important. And Lee, looks like there's a question for you.
Yeah, and if you have any questions while you're registering, just feel free to type them in the chat box and I can answer you there. Okay, so I've got Andrea's registration here. That's just been approved. And then Tabitha, you're all set there. So you should be receiving a second email just to confirm that that's been approved. And you do need to receive that approval email first before you can log in. Okay, and I see a few more here. Yes, you do register as a teacher. Yeah, teachers are the only ones that have access to search the database. Okay, Sarah, you're all set there. And Melanie. And Lori. All right, just give me one sec there. Your all 4 emails should be fine. Do you want to try, just try one more time and see. Thank you. All right, I'm just going to approve some more registrations here. Leaf, you should be good to go. Leaf. And Heather. And Alexa. And left more. All right. So if you have any questions while you're searching, I see you're having some trouble there. If you want to log in with the username, just so you have a chance to look around and I can sort out the login problems after. Username, guest, password. Oh, I'm trying to think what I did for this. Actually, let me say that again. Username is, I believe, user, and password is guest. Try that and see if you can log in there. All right, Diane, I got you all set here. Okay, Sergey, you're all set as well. Tamara, you're good? All right, let me just try myself here and get you logged in. So take some time to look around and browse, and we'll reconvene in maybe a minute or so. Okay, so I actually had that backwards. So the username, oh, you don't need to apologize. Username, so the username is actually guest, I just had it backwards, and the password, whoops, is user, I just had it backwards. So you should be able to log in there, I just was able to log in. Great, thanks Louise for setting the timer there. So again, if you have any questions or you're having any trouble, just type in the chat box there and I can help you out. Okay, there was a question type, is there any way to search for free? If you just type in free. Like I said, almost everyone in the library offers programs for free. There are a few select experts that, that do charge. Another question, is this what you use to connect with the African class? No, actually. The Digital Human Library is a collection of experts and organizations only. I will shortly actually be sharing the resources I use to connect with other classes in different countries. So no, Nick, once you log in, you have the option to start searching the library. You need to click on Search Me Books, and the next screen that comes up should look like this one, and I'll just put it back here to the slide that had the search bar. So once you click on Search Me Books or Search the Library, you have the option to search for teachers or search for Me Books, and if you click Search Me Books, you have access to all the experts. You can search the library for teachers, but that's not why it was designed. But since teachers that are using this resource are invested in video conferencing, you know that if you want to search for teachers here, that is an option for you. I'm really sorry you're not able to log in there. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm just going to try one more time to see if, and you're trying to log in as a teacher, correct? Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on because I am able to log in using using the username guest and the password user. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with the flow here. All right, let me just check. I think I have some more memberships to approve, and then unfortunately I do need to move on. But if you have any further questions about navigating through the site, I can always answer those if we have some extra time at the end, or we can get in touch via email. It looks like I have a few more to approve, so I'm just going to take a second and do that now, and then we are going to go ahead and move forward. And I see I have a few more here. So Jan, I'm just approving yours now. Sorry about the wait. And then Syria, you're all set as well. All right, so I am going to go ahead and move forward, and I'm going to take some time. Oh, good. I'm glad you got approved there. I'm going to take some time now to introduce you to some of the MeBook experts that you can connect with. Hopefully, you had a chance to log in and see some of the experts available for loan. And what I want to do now is just turn things over to. Oh, I'm so glad you got in. I'm so glad. That's great. I want to take a minute to turn things over here to Louise, who's just going to share another short video clip of a potential program that you could have delivered to your students by the Royal Tyrrell Museum in Alberta. So Louise, if you want to go ahead, we can start that quick video.
Here it comes, folks. There's the link in the chat if that works better for you, and the one in the web tour.
goal is not only to teach children about me, but also provide basic, not only like the action and supplement that they're already learning.
You will need a video an audio video today, an internet connection, and of course, an enthusiastic so just now, please follow the link to this concern at Zero Museum.
All right, it looks like most of you are finishing up there. So again, that was a sneak peek sort of inside a distance learning program from the content provider's point of view. And those are programs that are available from the Royal Tyrrell Museum in Alberta. They do offer free sessions for teachers as a PD piece, which are fantastic. This is one of the other content providers, again, out of a very small few that do charge for their programs. But as mentioned, you get a whole collection of resources to go along with that. So there are some benefits to paying for the paid programs. On average, if you are paying for a program, depending on the provider, they can range from $25 to about $125. So it's still less expensive than going on a field trip without, of course, all of the planning and all of the pieces that go along with putting a field trip together. So the paid sessions still are well worth it. So what I want to spend a few minutes highlighting now are just some of the Me books that you can find in the library. And as I mentioned, there are hundreds of them. So there are lots of opportunities for you to connect with a variety of different experts. And if you're curious to see who belongs into the library, you can preview some of the Me book experts by clicking on the Teachers tab on the website. And again, this is just a small preview of the hundreds of Me books that are available for loan. You can see here that I've highlighted some of the content providers or Me books that you can borrow. And there are some fantastic resources there that really amplify your classroom program and the amazing things that you're already doing. As well, I want to take a few minutes to highlight some of the, I'm just going to stop here. So the question is, would you have the kids bring in a few dollars each? Absolutely. So what I've done in the past is send a letter home with parents saying that we have this program and the cost is, $2 or $3 per student, and here's how it links with the curriculum, and here are the benefits of the kids engaging in this kind of program. And it's always been, I've never had an issue with that because, again, it is just a few dollars compared to the expense and the work involved in planning a field trip. And the kids are benefiting from experts teaching them new content. And as a teacher, too, you also get free PD every time you engage in one of these sessions because you're going to take something new away from that experience as well. I do not have a sample letter posted on the site, but I would be happy to share that. So I will do that, and thank you for your question. So in addition to the collection of experts or Me books that belong in the library, there are also some existing networks of content providers that I link to. So what I mean by that is that there are certain collections of experts that have already been assembled by a few different groups, and those are linked on my site. One of the groups I want to highlight is Connect to Texas, and in a minute I'm going to give you a chance to have a look at some of their programs. The Connect to Texas network links to, I believe it's 23 different organizations or expert groups that offer programs, scheduled programs that range from free to about $125. So it just depends. You can see here in the screenshot that I'm showing you some of the providers that are available. So when you're looking at providers on this network, you basically fill in their registration form and do all the registration on their website. And you'll notice in a minute when I give you a chance to look at this site that all of their programs are scheduled at a set time on a set date. So instead of emailing a provider or an expert through the Digital Human Library and sort of negotiating on the date and the time and the content, these programs are already set and they are delivered again at a specific date at a specific time, and you register for the program, and then the provider emails you a link, and once you click on that link on the day of your session, you are connected and the session will begin, and the experts will talk you through that whole process. So what I want to do now, again, is I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to ask Louise to put the Connect to Texas link up there, and I'll give you a chance just to visit that website, and you can just have a look at some of the programs that are offered. And as I mentioned, there are a variety of programs that range from no charge, so they're absolutely free, to programs that cost up to $125.
So folks, with the link that's in the web tour, as well as in the chat. Now, this is not a video, it is a website, and you can click on the link in the chat and browse through your own browser, or you can actually interact right with the browser page that's right in Blackboard Collaborate and click and search and view things there, and it'll only change what you're looking at. So feel free to use either.
Great, and Louise, would you mind setting the timer for 2 minutes just so we stay on track? I'm a little behind. Great, thank you. So there's just under a minute left. Okay, and if you wouldn't mind bringing your search to a close. All right. Hopefully you had a chance to at least see some of the kinds of programs that are available and the structure of the website. Thank you. All right. So that network itself is fantastic. The service is amazing. One thing I do need to point out is that Texas is on Central Standard Time, so there is a time difference, so just be aware of that. And some of the providers you connect with as well may be living in a different time zone, so it is always important to ask what time zone they're in before you set up your test call and actual session to ensure that you're connecting at the right time at the same time. So in addition to the the networks of content providers. And again, when you have some time later, you can go back and have a look at some of the additional networks that are available there. I'm going to address that question about, where did I connect my kids with other kids in different parts of the world? So on my site, I've created a space called Global Connections for Teachers and Students. And in that space, you have access to the sites that I use when I am sourcing out connections for my kids. And I'm going to highlight some of my favorites for any of the teachers in the audience that work with students in grades 7 to 12. I'm going to give everyone actually a chance to see some of the programs that are offered by the Center for Global Education. These programs are absolutely fantastic, and I'm actually going to let Terry, who you see front and center there, explain the kinds of programs that are being offered there that you have access to absolutely free at no charge. So Louise, if you wouldn't mind starting the video for the Center for Global Education, and once you're finished, if you want to give the green check mark there, we'll go ahead. You're in late. I'm not sure I understand your question, Diane. Late charge for? Oh, is this for borrowing the library with the me books? Thank you. That was nice. That was good. I needed to lighten up there. I appreciated that, Joe.
big companies are more responsible than government.
You're talking about carbon emissions, and you're talking about factories, and factories are not really the government. That would make the companies much more responsible like the gas emissions from their factories. A lot of these issues should come to the table. It's good or it's bad. All I need is enough information. If I have enough information, I can put it into black pants or into white pants. That's not how these things work. And a lot of the role of education is increasing but also struggling with things. I didn't understand what he said. Well, you know what? You work in you're going to have to find ways. You're going to have to develop those interpersonal skills. These are skills that are going to
It is good instruction. All you need to do is be involved in one of the experiences that we posted. The enthusiasm that the kids have for being involved in the community, and hear what the teachers have to say afterwards, see some of the outcomes, the results of the work that students are doing, the extensions within the classroom environment, the discussions that go on. It just is a very enriching experience.
Even if they don't like it at some point, or don't like nausea.
It's so amazing to see it live, like happening in front of you, and explaining what's happening, and to see the beating part. I don't like fire that much, but the open heart surgery really made me think about how it all works together. It made it more interesting and more engaging.
I would have liked to have like the conference.
All right, it looks like everyone's just finishing up here. Awesome. Just wait one more minute there. All right. So that is the Center for Global Education, absolutely free. All you need to do is sign up. And what I love about it is that Terry ensures that there are classes represented from a variety of countries and places around the world for every session. So you really do work with a global audience and have the opportunity to collaborate with other students, like I said, in grades 7 to 12. So the one space that is one of my personal favorites, so again, I'm working under the Global Connections for Teachers and Students space on my website, is ePals. I use ePals quite often to source out teachers and students in other countries that my kids would like to connect with and learn more about. I like ePals for a variety of reasons. Their filters, their search filters are absolutely amazing. So you can be very, very specific. An important note at the bottom under the collaboration piece there, that if you check that box, teachers that have indicated that they will Skype or do a video chat or video conference have made that clear on their profile, and you can see the S there on some of the profiles. ePals was actually originally set up as a way for kids to email each other, so sort of a modern version of pen pals, and it has evolved into much more, and it is one of my favorite spaces. I do like ePals more so than Skype, largely because most of the teachers registered with Skype live in North America. There are also, again, it's much more user-friendly. I do use Skype in education at times to source out other partners. It is important to note that perseverance pays off. So I do often send out 20 emails at a time. So I have drafted just a short email introducing myself and my students and the purpose for the email, which is that we'd like to connect and learn more about you and your community and your traditions and celebrations. And I literally view a profile, hit connect, paste my email, and send. And I will do that, you know, for, like I said, about 15 to 20 teachers, and send that out. And I may not hear anything back, and I may have to do that again. But what I can tell you is that I have never not found a class to work with my kids. So perseverance does pay off, and you will find who you're looking for. And evidence of that can be seen really in the work that, that my kids do every year. So we work with, like I said, students in upwards of 12 to 15 different countries, depending on where my students' inquiries take us. And I'm going to share a few stories of those kinds of interactions here. And I will start with this story here. And this is it's these kinds of global collaborative partnerships that I believe make learning real for our students. This group here in Sierra Leone, this class had to walk 2 hours one way to an internet cafe to look at our blog and communicate with us initially, and we wrote back and forth with this group and did have a chance in the end to have a live video conference with them. And it was so inspiring for my kids to be able to not only to write to these kids, but then to talk to them and to share all of the similarities and differences between our communities. And the learning here that really hit home was actually happened this year. So the students I had last year worked with this group in Sierra Leone, and as you're all aware, the Ebola outbreak really devastated certain parts of Sierra Leone. And I am sad to say that a number of the students that we worked with last year and developed relationships died as a result of the Ebola virus. And sitting down with my group this year, having that conversation with them, and seeing the tears, and of course my tears, and I get choked up every time I tell this story. As soon as I told them what had happened to these students, their first question was, what can we do to help? How can we help? What can we do living here to help these kids and these families in Sierra Leone? And that's exactly what we did. So I ended up spending a lot of time with my class last year coming up with ways that we could support this community and help these children and their families. And my whole school ended up getting involved, and we created posters about personal hygiene, because that's not something that is available there, nor is it something that's communicated well. And that's exactly what we did. And then I had kids bringing in, you know, stickers and pencils and erasers and pictures and things that they wanted to send to these kids and their families. And, you know, coming together and taking that learning, you know, and that follows that inquiry model, right? What do you know? What can you do? And who are you going to be as a result of that learning? And for my kids, you know, we learned about Sierra Leone. We were able to take that knowledge and think critically about it, and then we had a chance to actually apply, you know, what we learned about this community, and apply it in a way that made my kids better people. And for me, that's what learning is all about. And this particular group and this particular story is one that I will never forget, and this is an experience that my students will never forget either. So that to me, again, like I said, is what learning is all about. And in addition to working with a number of students in different spaces, we also partner. We partner with students usually in 1 or 2 communities in different parts of the world, and work with them all year long. And I think it's really important not only to, you know, have those moments where you might work with an expert or a group of kids, you know, once or twice and then move on. It's important to also develop lasting relationships with some of the people that you work with, because your relationship changes and the learning changes as a result of that relationship. One of the learning partners I work with or have worked with for the past few years is Colombia. And we work with kids in Colombia. We've met with them now probably 8 or 10 times, and each time we meet, we have a chance to talk about our traditions and our celebrations, and that's usually how these meetings are structured. And they take on a life of their own. You know, I was hoping to have some time to share some videos with you, and I think what I'm going to do instead, Louise, is ask you to post the links to the 3 YouTube videos I was going to share in the chat box, and then if you're interested in having a look at those another time, you can do that. So when we work with kids in Colombia, as I said, the meetings are generally structured around our traditions and celebrations and the time of year that those occur. So we've had a chance to learn about New Year's, and the 3 video clips that I have here really showcase the different conversations that we had with the students. You know, if you decide you want to look at those another time, you can actually hear the kids talking about their traditions and celebrations and just how different they are. You know, I chose to highlight this because it was such an eye-opener for me, because I assumed they would have a New Year's tradition or a celebration much like we do, but it is so surprisingly different. They create these scarecrow-type men and stuff them with hay and write the names of people who have done bad things on pieces of paper and stuff them in these men and light them on fire. And that is supposed to cleanse you of any wrongdoing or mistakes that you've made. And they also create these men where you, on your piece of paper, would write your wish for the new year. And when you light them on fire, that wish is supposed to come true. And so we were watching videos of these burning men lined up all along the beach and people dancing and singing. And the learning for me is it's so engaging and exciting because you know, I'm benefiting from that new information as well. And even, you know, talking about the kinds of foods they eat and the way they eat their food. There are so many differences that that really, I think, help kids understand who they are and also appreciate all of the differences and different people that do live in the world. So I am going to move on now to another space in the library where you have access to different resources. There is information about video conferencing platforms if you want to look at some of the free options available to you. Anyone that you work with in the library will have a specific way they want to connect with you, and most experts or content providers will email you a link to the session on the day that it's scheduled. I want to highlight one space that I've spent quite a bit of time building, and that's the Multimedia virtual tours. So these are pre-recorded virtual tours really of places all over the world. I'm going to unfortunately have to skip I was going to give you a chance to have a look at some of the virtual tours, but again, I'm going to have to ask that hopefully you'll take some time to do that on your own, but here the link that I can ask Louise to put up in the chat box was a link to see live cameras at the Vancouver Aquarium. So in the Multimedia virtual tours under museums, you can find the Vancouver Aquarium, and you can actually watch live underwater cameras that and see beluga whales or jellyfish or sea otters. So there are so many amazing virtual tours out there that you can share with your students at any time that would really amplify what you're already doing in the classroom. If you had a session with the Royal Botanical Gardens, you could go back to the Multimedia virtual tours and actually revisit all the gardens that you talked about and saw during your video conference. So there are a lot of fantastic resources there. I just came across a new site called UVisit, and this site's focus is on encouraging organizations and individuals to create their own virtual tours and then help create that library online. There is a mining virtual tour that is absolutely amazing. So uvisit.com has been added. Again, there are hundreds of virtual tours that are available for you to access. And again, like I said, just amplify what you're already doing in your classroom and help kids feel connected to all these different people and places in the world that they learn about. So I do want to spend the last little bit just chatting about my belief that teachers and students need a resource like this. I'm going to give you a chance to read the slide here. It's one of my favorites. You can give me a smiley face or a sad face if you didn't find it funny. I hope you did. Oh, good. One smiley. Oh, good. I see a few more smileys. So what I like about this is that, again, it's, you know, we get told, okay, you need to connect your kids with the world. You need to provide them with all these opportunities for global learning and experiences with partners outside of your classroom. But the question is, well, how do I do that? And where do I go to find all this information? And I think that in part as well motivated me to create this resource, because I was going out and finding all these connections for my kids. And honestly, I was sitting on a gold mine. You know, these resources are ones that need to be shared. And by creating a resource for teachers that allows you to go in for free and just connect with all of these fantastic opportunities is really important to me, because I see the benefit happening in my own classroom. You know, and the question that I hope you're thinking about today is, you know, what if the world is not just bigger than my backyard, but what if the world is bigger than my classroom? And what if teaching and learning is bigger than what's happening in my space right now? And how do I get into that? How do I step out of my classroom and into that world to provide my students with more opportunities to not only to learn with different people, but to bring those experiences into the classroom. So the Digital Human Library is about engagement. Kids are engaged, they're motivated, they're excited. All the pictures that you've seen in my deck are from kids in my own class and experiences that my kids have had. So here's again, student inquiry. Student inquiry is moving up the grades. And again, your students have questions and questions they need answers to. And as much as we're expected to be experts in everything, the reality is we're not. And we don't have to be, because there's now a resource that you have access to that can provide you with links and connections to all of these experts. I'm just going to see. Hopefully that slide's loaded for you there. There are two quick videos that I want to show you, just so you can get a glimpse of how the Digital Human Library supports that communication and collaboration piece. So Louise, I'm hoping, if you could post the two North Carolina